Hello, welcome to April and your dose of the H zone. So, this month, I want to work on some internal stuff that may be, let's say, blocking you or stopping you from reaching your goals. So, let's think about that. When we think about beliefs or thoughts that keep running through our heads, a lot of times they're so automatic that we may not be paying attention to them. But what I want you to understand is those thoughts that you think over and over again are impacting your behavior. Because just think about a simple thought like, should I go over there? And you're thinking, nah, you shouldn't go over there. That's not good. So obviously that'll direct your behavior. And a lot of times those thoughts are good. They help us, they keep us safe. But what about the thoughts that are keeping you stuck? What about the thoughts or the fears that are saying, no, you can't do that, but there's a part of you that wants to do it? Think about your business. Are there things that you think that are holding you back? Maybe you're afraid to be visible because you're afraid of people, what they might say or how they might judge you. So you're like, yeah, no, you keep searching for another way to build your business. But in some form or fashion, to build a business, we have to be visible. But we can figure it out in multiple ways of how to do the visibility. But if we're stuck in fear, we won't even figure it out. We'll just be like, oh no, I can't be visible. People are going to judge. And you try different things, but with the absence of visibility, your business isn't going to take off the ground because nobody's going to know that you're around. So I want you guys to spend some time this month thinking about what are those fears? What are those limiting beliefs? And the visibility one is kind of an obvious one, but there's subtle things that we may think about. We may think, oh, I've never been good at math, so I can't do that. That's a bit subtle, but what that says is that you can't do numbers. And pretty much every adult I know can do some basic numbers. Now, I'm not talking about calculus and all that kind of stuff or really in-depth accounting, but you do know numbers. You get a paycheck more than likely if you're still working your job. So you have a sense of numbers. You filed taxes. So you do have a sense of numbers. But we say those little subtle things to keep us small, to keep us safe. But what it is doing is keeping us stuck and not feeling good about ourselves. So we want to try to think about things in a different way. So let me give you an example because we were talking about superheroes this year. So think about the Hulk, right? And the Hulk is just this green monster with anger. And when he first came to be the Hulk, the anger took over and he was just destructive, just very destructive. It was very out of control. Now, most of us as adults, when we have emotions that are holding us back, they don't necessarily destroy everything in our path. They can keep us in habits and behaviors in a life that we don't like. It can keep us stuck in a pattern that's not satisfying or fulfilling for us. Like if you're afraid to start a business, but you really can't stand your job, but you have a desire to do something else, well, that thought process, those emotions, the emotion of fear is keeping you stuck, is keeping you in that same pattern. So, but when you think about the Hulk's evolution, how he became a hero is because he used that quote unquote negative emotion and turned it into helping other people, using the strength and the energy of that emotion and turned it and used it for good, as we say, right? So think about yourself. If there's some things that are holding you back, some what we call negative emotions, how can you utilize those negative emotions in a positive way? If you're feeling angry about something, how can you utilize that anger to push you into the direction that you want to go? If you're afraid of starting a business, but you can't stand being in your job, maybe there's some things you can do. Maybe it's about your perception of your job. Maybe it's about looking at the pieces of your job that you could be grateful for in the meantime And when it comes to building a business, maybe you can take some baby steps. Maybe you can just write your ideas out. Maybe that's just a starting place for you. Start to design it. There's no commitment in that. There's no financial obligation in that. You are just starting to put it on paper, starting to realize it, starting to make it feel a little bit more tangible. So I want you to think about, in the next couple of weeks, how can you use your emotions? If you've got those negative fears or negative emotions, how can you use them in a positive way? And those emotions that aren't serving you, that you feel like, you know what, I can't use this in a positive way, then releasing them. And there's a couple of different techniques you can use. It depends on you and what fits you, and you know you best. So sit with that. It could be journaling. It could be writing out the fear and the emotion and writing out that whole situation and writing out worst case scenario. Once you write it out in detail, you might not be so attached to it once you put it on paper and release it. Other people, after they do that, they'll burn it and then just release it that way. Some people, they do EFT, emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. If you're interested in that, send me a message and I'll send you the tapping points. I have a video that shows you how to tap, but it gets the emotions out of your body on a very intense level. So that's another technique you can use. Some people can use different meditative techniques to get rid of fear, get rid of stress. You know, there's meditations that you can use when you go to sleep. If you just YouTube them, they're there, getting rid of stress, anxiety, fear. You can type any of that in YouTube and you'll find a video that you can use for going to sleep and helping you release it that way. So it's also, too, not interfering if you have a busy day. If you do it while you're going to sleep, it doesn't interfere with anything, and it's not another task that you have to add to your to-do list. So I want you to really think about that. Think about where you are right now in your life and what do you feel is holding you back? What thought processes, what beliefs, what fears? And I know I'm lumping them all together because this is just general. And I want you guys to kind of think of it in that way. What can I do that really will move me forward? You know, what are those things that if it's an emotion you need to get rid of that's holding you back from moving forward, then release that. If it's emotion that you can use, if you can figure out a way to use your fear to propel you forward, then do that. Step into it. We all have fears. You know, when people say, oh, they're courageous, it's not because they're absent of fear. It's because they've learned how to move through their fear. Despite their fear, they're still moving forward. And it could be inching forward. It doesn't matter. They're still moving in the direction of their goal. So I want you to think about that in your life. And I will see you next time for your dose of the H Zone. Bye for now.